if you enjoy the stories on my channel. Please consider subscribing. Your support truly motivates me to keep creating more content. Thank you so much. Now, let's get into today's story. I knew the second I saw his face that I had broken something I might never be able to fix. He stood there, holding the letter I never meant for him to read, the one where I confessed everything. It wasn't cheating or betrayal, but it was a lie I told with every intention of protecting us. But now, he looked at me like I was a stranger, and maybe I was. It all started 2 years ago, right after my mother passed away. I was drowning in grief, barely able to function. Mason was my anchor. We'd been dating for just under a year at the time, but he didn't walk away when things got hard. He held me through sleepless nights, cooked for me when I forgot to eat, reminded me to breathe when everything felt like it was crumbling. Then I found out the truth about my father, that he hadn't died in a car accident like my mother always said. He'd been in prison for armed robbery and had only recently been released. I told no one, especially not Mason. Mason had a rule, no secrets. He told me once, during one of our late-night talks, "Even the ugly stuff, tell me, and we'll deal with it together." I believed him, but this wasn't just ugly, it was shameful. I was terrified that if Mason knew the truth, he'd see me differently, like I carried my father's sins in my blood. So I made a choice. I told him my father had died when I was a baby. Period. End of story. But lies don't stay quiet. They grow. 6 months later, my father, Tom, reached out to me, said he wanted to make amends. At first, I ignored him, but the guilt clawed at me. He had missed my entire life. Some of it by choice, most of it not. Eventually, I agreed to meet him. It was awkward, emotional, raw. He didn't beg for forgiveness, and I didn't offer it. But we talked, and then we talked again. Then he got sick. Liver failure. Years of hard drinking catching up to him. Suddenly, I was the only family he had left. He asked to stay with me for a few weeks. I said yes, but Mason couldn't know. I told Mason that my cousin from out of state was visiting. A cousin I barely talked to, which made it easier to explain why Mason never met her. I saved my father's number under her name in my phone. It was exhausting keeping them apart. Mason would ask why he couldn't come over when Caitlin was staying with me. I always had an excuse. She was sick. She was tired. She was antisocial. He didn't push, but I saw the hurt in his eyes. The lie kept growing, cracking the foundation we had built. One night, I came home to find my father collapsed in the bathroom. I called 911. The hospital kept him for 4 days. I visited every one of them, juggling work, Mason, guilt, and fear like flaming knives. That's when I wrote the letter. I told my dad everything I hadn't said out loud. That I didn't hate him, that I was scared I might become him, that I loved someone who believed honesty was the highest form of love, and I had betrayed that. I wasn't going to give the letter to anyone. It was like therapy, scribbled in panic and pain, shoved in a drawer and forgotten. Until Mason found it. I don't even know why he was going through my things. Maybe he felt the distance. Maybe he thought I was cheating. He waited for me to get home. When I saw the letter in his hand, my heart dropped. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just asked, why? And I couldn't lie anymore. I told him everything. From the day I found out my father was alive to the moment he read the truth in my handwriting. He listened, completely silent. When I finished, his voice cracked as he asked, "Why didn't you trust me with this?" I tried to explain that I did trust him. That's why I lied. I didn't want him to carry my shame. But the damage was already done. He didn't leave right away. He said he needed time. A week passed. Then 2. He stopped answering my texts, my calls. Then I saw him at a cafe near my office with a woman. They weren't touching, but he was smiling. A smile I hadn't seen in months. I couldn't breathe. I didn't confront him. Not there. Instead, I went home, pulled out my phone, and recorded a voice message. "Do you really believe I never loved you?" I asked, trying not to cry. "Because if you do, then you never knew me at all." He didn't respond. But the next morning, there was a knock on my door. Mason. He looked exhausted. He handed me my key. the one he still had on his ring, and said something I'll never forget. "I believe you love me. I just don't know if you love yourself enough to let someone really see you." Then he walked away. That was 6 months ago. My father passed away 2 weeks after Mason left. I buried him with the letter. And then I started therapy. Because Mason was right. I had spent so long pretending I wasn't broken that I forgot how to be whole. I haven't seen Mason since. But every time I think of him, I whisper a silent apology. Not for lying, but for not believing he could love all of me, even the parts one was afraid to show. I don't know if I'll ever get another chance with him. But I do know this. Next time someone loves me, I'll let them see everything. Even the truth I once tried so hard to hide.